Enjoying some weather in Busan and hope your day is going well.
Hi friends, welcome back. So we're going to be talking about Apple earnings today. It just came out and iPhone sales were down. However, share buybacks were up, if you can believe that. It was huge. It was the biggest share buyback in history, 110 billion. And all of the top buybacks in history are actually Apple, if you believe that. But it's not hard to imagine because obviously they're swimming in cash. But with iPhone sales down, it is concerning, obviously, to shareholders and everyone. And one of the things that's really interesting is why is the stock price up? Well, one of the things that happens is that Apple is in several funds, and Apple just doesn't have to crash, and people put money in the thing. They consider it a pretty safe play. I was looking at the stock this year, and the past year it's like only up about 2%, 2.66 in the past year. After hours up 6. We'll see if it holds. The problem, though, facing Apple, and we talked about before on the channel, is their sales are struggling in China. We just talked about this. The report came out of how Apple sales are doing. Huawei phones are actually pretty good, and Chinese people are going for that. They're cheaper, right? And there's a couple things you have to consider. Is it one, do Chinese people just prefer domestic phones because they want to, be more patriotic and get the Chinese phone? I'm not sure it's necessarily that. I would argue it's probably more about cost. Because, guys, there's a couple things going on, right? The dollar is strong. And so if you're, say, buying American goods and your currency is weaker, that means it's even more expensive to buy American stuff, right? Because your currency is weaker. Apple can certainly cut prices in China to try to be more competitive, but then obviously that eats at their margins. The other issue, too, as well, is that what new products are coming for Apple. Now, one of the things I noticed, which is really kind of interesting, this was something coming out from Apple, is they did not give a forecast of what iPhone sales are going to be this year. They didn't say anything. So sometimes, if the company's really excited, they say, hey, we think iPhone sales are going to be awesome. So they're not giving a forecast. The iPhone sales are decreasing. Now, it's true that the stock is up, but I just kind of question sort of where Apple's going. Again, it's not going to crash. I'm not really worried about that. The thing that's really interesting about Apple, though, is they're really pushing their service revenue. So basically they're saying, hey guys, the reason why you want to be in this stock, the reason why you want to be part of Apple is because people are going to be getting, our wearables, they're going to be, buying our new goggles, our watches and stuff like that, buying a bunch of apps for said things, subscribing to our fitness thing. And I'll be curious if anyone in the communities have used Apple Fitness. I myself haven't, because I have no comment on whether or not it's good. I can tell you Apple TV is pretty good. The other problem, though, is that let's say, Apple is, pushing that, hey, we're going to make more money on our services or maybe our app store, is that they're facing challenges to something like their app store. So, for example, I believe it's in Europe. Europe's like, yo, Apple, you got a monopoly over there, right? And this is a really big for them because if you guys don't know, I think Apple takes like a 30% cut from the app store. So if they get hit for some sort of monopoly thing or something like that, that'll be a big problem for them. The other issue that they're facing, remember Epic Games has been fighting with Apple because the basic gist of it is can an app on the App Store sell you products outside of the App Store? So meaning like, for example, in the situation with Epic, the idea was that, they would give you some sort of coupon code or something like that. You would buy that on the internet and then enter the code into your app on your phone, and that would be a way for you to get around it. But it's not just something like Epic, right? So, theoretically, Microsoft could put something on the App Store. So, like, for example, NVIDIA is an interesting one. I could do that as well. I'll give you the NVIDIA/Microsoft examples would be cloud gaming is a thing, or cloud computing. And the basic idea would be I have an app on my phone, and then the computer is actually a remote server. So I've actually used the service, the NVIDIA one. I think I want to say it's called the NVIDIA Now. I think that's what it's called, or something, or GeForce Now. I think it's called GeForce Now. It actually works really well. And the issue would be like for something like an Apple is like, why are people using our store to download apps, but we're not profiting from the transaction? So I think Apple has an argument for charging, someone a fee for using their service, right? Because they're on their platform, but whether or not the service platform fee is like 30% is fair, who knows? One more thing, and guys, if you want to see our vlog channel and see Yeji more, please subscribe. It's called Chris and Yeji, and it's our vlog channel. Check it out. The other issue as well is they haven't updated their iPad for a while, which is kind of a problem for them. Because guys, when you track Apple, they have so many different categories, and the problem is though is like how many more things can you possibly do to the iPad to attract people to buy said thing? It's the same for computers, right? If you make your computers a little bit too good, people will want to upgrade. And that's something that many of these companies do all the time, is they hold back technology. You guys know what I'm talking about here. Let me go some more of the numbers with you. So EPS estimated was $1.50. They came in at $1.53, so they beat there. But understand that this kind of stuff is a bit of a game. You're just trying to meet or beat expectations of Wall Street. Doesn't necessarily mean good or bad. You're just trying to beat whatever they expect. So they could set the bar low for you if they wanted to. Revenue came in, estimate was $90 billion. They came in at 90.75. So those aren't massive beats, but they're there. iPhone revenue, so they missed by a little bit. 46 billion was the estimate. God, they make a ton of money on iPhones. 45.96 was it came in as. Mac revenue. Now, just listen to this. This is this number. Revenue for the Mac, the estimate was 6.86 billion. Mac came in at 7.5 billion. Now, that's a huge difference, right? So if you have your iPhone revenue is at what, 46 billion roughly. Mac revenue at 7.5 billion roughly. I mean, that's why they focus so much on iPhones. And for those of you guys who are into the Mac computers like myself, I like this stuff. I mean, I use the computers for years. We have like 3 in our house. So just full disclosure too, if Apple ever wants to do semi-free computers review, I'm all about that. They have a new chip coming out. I think it's going to be the M3s right now. And these things run cool. They run really well. And I'll be curious sort of that boosts their sales or not. Other thing as well is you have gross margins. Oh, they're about the same, 46.6%. Other things that I want to mention as well is the goggle situation. So I was thinking about this, and we've been talking about this stuff before, is like, are people going to just be using it as a plaything, or is it actually going to be something you would use, seriously for work? Meta is over there trying to develop, their sort of goggle stuff and trying to say, hey, you can be more productive, that kind of stuff. For me, it's just a plaything. And if that is indeed the case, so like if at this stage in the game, the goggles are only for play, there's not going to be widespread adoption of things. It's just too expensive. If, for example, where Meta or Apple, whoever says, hey, you can use the goggles as like medical, surgery, or you can use the goggles, and I call them goggles, I guess you call it headset. But if you have like, practical reasons, so I would say, for example, medical could be one, biotech research, any of these kind of things. I think theoretically, maybe, but at this stage in the game, I'm just personally not seeing it. However, we do have members of the community that have mentioned that they do like the headsets, they do use these things. At the moment, though, I think a lot of these things are a little bit big and bulky. So for me, I can wear it for a few minutes and I just want to take it off. Now, whether or not Apple comes up with some new products that gets, revenue going again, for me, I totally got the same thing. I want my flippy phone. Where is my flippy phone? So here, I'm using just your regular iPhone mini. I don't even think they make these minis anymore, so that's what I have. I like the smaller phone, and then the flippy phone would even be better. Samsung's got a pretty good one in terms of flippy phones, and we'll see if Apple comes out with something. The other thing too, I guess theoretically, instead of flippy phone, develop some sort of new, contact / smaller glasses thing. Maybe I'll be interested. But that's what's going on with Apple, is they need to convince you to try to upgrade their stuff, and then when you have said stuff, to buy a bunch of more apps. So love to hear your thoughts on what you think about Apple. Do you think it's going to be a stalwart company going forward? And again, really the big concern is China, right? They're losing ground there, and how can they pick that back up? So thanks again for watching, everyone, and I will catch you next video.